So, in this episode, I want to talk about when you are starting your business, or let's say you're plateauing in your one person business and you're looking for, like, how do I take the next step? How do I create a little scale? How do I increase my pipeline so I can earn more revenue, etc.? There's a lot of different ways you can approach that from a efficiency standpoint. You can cut a lot of fat. You can be more efficient using AI or agentic solutions and really focus on how can I fine tune the business that I'm running. So whether you're starting brand new or you're at that plateau place in your business and you're ready to take the next big leap in what you're doing, this is going to be a good episode for you because it's all about relationships. And I was speaking with a client today, a new client. I'm working on their KISS marketing map, the strategy of how they can take their services into the world and earn a living as a consultant. So this really applies to my consultant clients or any type of service business that you're delivering your knowledge and expertise, you're guiding, you're coaching, you're working with them. Even if you're doing a tactical delivery, like for example, I build websites, I write copy, I do content marketing for my clients. A lot of the things that I do are tactical in nature, but I also am a guide and a coach for them as well, creating strategies and working with them along the way as they grow. What I noticed is that many people get hung up on having certain things prepared first or available first before they actually get out and start having conversations. And that's what this episode is all about. So you're going to love the prompt. I think this is going to be really valuable regardless of where you are in your life cycle of your business. So I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to My Solopreneur Life. I'm Terry Pappy, your gracious host, and I am so glad you're here. I have a wonderful episode for you. Sit back, relax, and let's have some real talk about what it is to be a solopreneur. It's funny, and it's not uncommon that when I meet a new client who's literally starting their business or they want to start their business as a solopreneur, and they've either come out of corporate or whatever the situation, and they think they have to have all these things in place. They got to have a website, they have to have copy, they have to have a logo, they have to have all these things, these tactical things, before they ever go out and knock on doors. And I use knock on doors meaning you have to ask for business. You have to let people know what you're doing, what problems you solve, who you solve them for. And the way you gain access to that is by obviously having a clear strategy, which is really important. But that's probably the only thing you really need. And even you can even move forward without that. And I'm going to talk about that in this episode. So many new solopreneurs or new to business in general want to have all these things in place before they start. And the beauty of being a solopreneur, working from home, having independence, being remote, being able to travel while you do your work, it's an amazing gift that we all have as business owners, the capability to do that today. And so what I want to kind of put to you today is, what are you letting get in the way? We had the very short episode on resistance. How do you start when you're facing resistance? Well, this is actually also a form of resistance when you're like, oh, I got to have a website, I've got to have a logo, I've got to have the business name, I got to have my LLC registered and all this stuff. And quite frankly, you don't need any of that. In fact, if you are still in a full-time job or your corporate role and you're getting to that point where you're ready to say, you know what, I'm kind of done with this, I want to do my own thing, then that is an even better time for you to start building this, what I'm about to give you. The most important thing, especially if you're a service-based business owner or wannabe business owner, is relationships. And I remember back when I first started, I had a network, but it was all embedded in the corporate life that I led prior to my layoff from Marriott. I knew a lot of people from Marriott. In fact, one of my early customers was a Marriott coworker that to this day I have a great relationship with and was the source of many referrals for me. I just kind of lived in my own little bubble. I had the people I worked with, and that was that. So when it came to hanging out my shingle and going out and looking for people or businesses that needed help with their marketing, their branding, their positioning, and so on, kind of the things that I was doing in the corporate world, it was a little bit of a challenge for me because most of the people that were in my network were still fully employed, didn't have their own business, and so on. But I managed to find my way. And the reason why I'm reflecting back to when I started my business is because at first it was just freelance. I was just Terry Pappy Creative Services. I didn't have a brand. Now, granted, because I knew how to do all these things like the logo and the business website and things, I was able to set that up for myself. But I could have done all of this without that. And today, it's even more possible for you to move forward in your business without having all these things set up. The first thing I want to give you is think about when you're starting your business or leveling up, if you're allowing something like that to get in the way, which is, again, going back to 2 episodes ago, is a form of resistance. When I evolved my business and started realizing what I was best at, and I started organizing my services around being products, and I changed the name of my business to Better 3, the basis of my Better 3 model is threefold, obviously. The first is better understanding of your customers so you can understand how to serve them, how to communicate with them, and so on. The second is better communications, which is much more professional, consistent communications that are well branded and align with what your audience is looking for. And then the third thing, which is what this episode is all about, is better relationships. Because if you have good relationships when you're in business, your customers and clients will advocate for you, they will be loyal to your brand, and they will, this is the most important thing, they will refer you. And they'll refer you without you even asking. What I want to talk about is how do you leverage your network, your relationships, when you're in that place of just starting out. I was talking to one of my newer clients today, and we were discussing the intake that he provided me for his KISS marketing map, which is what I'm in the process of building for him. He did an amazing job, gave me tons of great information about what he did, the problems he solved, and obviously all the questions that I have in this intake, which is pretty in-depth. And we had a wonderful conversation about it. And when I build these strategy maps, I'm very tuned into my intuition and what I pick up through conversations and getting to know my client. Obviously, putting together a KISS marketing map is going to take a little time, not weeks and weeks. I can usually get them done after I get all the information within a few days. And just to give you a little insight, I do include an implementation plan. Once that's done, here's what you do, then you do this, then you do that. And they're very much like tactical deliverables, like the website and the lead generation funnel and things, whatever is tactically recommended. However, and I stress this with all of my clients, while I am building this KISS marketing map, once you get this KISS marketing map and put it in front of you and you look at it and you're like, I love it, this is great, I'm going to move forward with this, this is a fantastic strategy, gives me focus, gives me empowerment, so I can move forward and know who I'm talking to and what I'm saying. But here's the thing, you still don't need the website. You still don't need the lead intro product and the funnel and the social media campaign and everything. What you need is to reach out and have conversations. One person I asked the question, I suggested that they reach out to some people in this particular community that's focused on a very specific industry that they're a member of. And I said, reach out and have conversations with these people and tell them what you're up to and see how you can help. I checked in with him and I said, how is it going? And he said, well, I reached out to like 4 or 5 people and I haven't heard anything back. I'm like, well, what did you say when you reached out? Like, what did you put in the email when you reached out to them? Well, I kind of just said that I was looking to get to know them and pick their brain and see what they were doing and talk about what I was doing. And I was like, okay. I said, well, a lot of people are on vacation this time of year, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of reasons why that he may not have gotten a response from some of these folks. But I said, well, why don't we try this? Instead of you just reaching out and asking for something, especially picking someone's brain, which to them they hear as, I got to help this person. I got to listen to what they want. It's almost like you're asking them to do a lift for you, to do something for you. And we always ask, all of us as consumers, as well-trained consumers, what's in it for me? What is in it for them? I said, as you continue to do this, why don't you take those emails and word them a little differently? Tell them that you want to understand what they do, get to know them a little bit better, because you would like to see if there are opportunities that cross your path that you could actually refer them to or connect them with. In other words, you want to reach out and say, this is what I want to do for you. This is what I want to do as far as getting to know you so I can understand what your needs are, and then I can help you. You may or may not be familiar with the law of reciprocity, but that triggers the law of reciprocity. In that conversation, it's going to be a natural thing for this client that I was talking with to have that two-way conversation. Well, in fact, I'm working on this, and would you be open to working on something together? Like if I found somebody that had this blah, 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 would that be something that would fit for you? Presenting yourself in a way where you're not asking, you're giving. It's a high integrity strategy to reach out in the effort to be of service and to have integrity when you do reach out. I think when anyone, including myself and hopefully you, go at building a network, helping others, reaching out and deepening relationships, all those things contribute to your good as well as the other person's good. Otherwise, you're just a salesperson, essentially. You're just going out and you're pitching people. Can you help me? Can you refer me to somebody? Can you do this? Can you do that? It's a delicate balance of give and take when you have these conversations. That's just a little bit of guidance that I had a real world example of today that I think is valuable for anybody to think about. Just tweak it just a little bit so you come across as someone who's offering help, offering an olive branch, curious, wants to get to know this person, and so on. One of the things that I love to do and do through this show in my last podcast is have guests. I love having guests, and I will be having guests in this particular season. So I can't wait I just keep hogging the microphone myself, I'm like, I got a good idea. I'm going to do a show about that. Well, I can't keep doing my own solo episodes. I've got to have some of my guests, and I've already recorded a couple. So anyway, but the reason why I love to have guests on is because it gives me the opportunity to hear how other people are living their solopreneur life, are making their way in the business world. That to me is so interesting. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm a writer and I've written books and I like researching and I love getting to know people, even though I'm very much an introvert, believe it or not. I know. You're probably saying, yeah, Terry, you're an introvert. Well, it's just me here, in front of the camera with the microphone. There's nobody else around. Oh, goodness. But I really believe that the relationships that we foster with real integrity are the ones that are going to last, are the ones that are going to help us feel more fulfilled and less isolated. That's something I'm going to be addressing in the next season, which is dealing with the ups and downs of solopreneurism And one of those things is the sense of isolation because we are a one-person business. And the more we start using AI or agentic AI to deliver our services and efficiencies, the less we're going to be apt to have a partner or a subcontractor helping us out that we actually can interact with. These are really important things when it comes to running a one-person business in today's very highly high-tech charged environment that we're in that's changing incredibly fast. It's changing so fast. I mean, it's kind of scary, but the opportunities are exponential. They really are. You just have to know how to lean into them in the right places at the right time. Building relationships with people is the best way to do it. So the more this tech comes into our lives, the more things get replaced or people get replaced by AI services, by subscription plans that are AI based, all that stuff, the more we're going to yearn for those types of interactions, the real human to human type of interactions. And the best way for us to do that is to cultivate our networks, cultivate those relationships. The way you do that is by having the conversations. There are a lot of vehicles that you can use to trigger a conversation, like I just gave an example of having a guest on my podcast. Well, do you need to go out and start a podcast just so you can talk to somebody? Not necessarily. It's like paying somebody to be your friend, right? Will you be my friend? Standing at the intersection with the cardboard, be my friend. Will you be on my podcast? Oh, it's been a long day. But I really believe that that relationship building effort that you put forth will pay dividends in the long run. It will help you stay top of mind with people. And if you rely too much, and I see a lot of solopreneurs doing this, if you rely too much on your newsletter, your social media posts, your little videos, your stuff on YouTube, which is one-way communication. It's not an interaction that's live, that has emotion, that has laughter, that has surprise, that has those elements that make the conversation rewarding. And it allows the person you're talking with to really get to know you. And that's what they learn about you is like, what kind of person is this person? Is this someone I want to hang out with? Is this someone I want to help? Is this someone I can learn from? And these are all things that occur in live conversation. You do have to put forth an effort in order to create those bonds, to build rapport, to make friends. I mean, that's really what it's about. You're making business friends. And it can't always be what's in it for me. Like, what can you do for me today? You need to do more of an outreach that's about service and getting to know people and finding out where their pain exists. And I'm not just talking about potential clients for your business. I'm talking about people who you can be colleagues with, who you can add to your network, who you can help. You'd be surprised at what little things may come up in a conversation where you could do one little introduction or tell someone about this really cool software that you just started using that'll solve their problem with their scheduling or whatever, or some industry trend that you found kind of fascinating, or a podcaster or a YouTuber that has a really good channel. Sharing those little tips, sharing those insights is so valuable. But if you're not having the conversations, they're never going to happen. Okay. So here are some tips / prompt for you to start being deliberate about cultivating your relationships. The first thing is really understand, where are most of your relationships living? In other words, if you're a consultant and you're dealing in service-based businesses and it's more of a business atmosphere, then you're probably looking at your LinkedIn connections. You also have your contacts, your address book. Who's in your address book? Yes, of course, we have the plumber and the electrician and the HVAC people, the handyman and all the, utilities that we pay, our neighbors, etc., family, friends. But there's also business people that could be in there as well. That could be advocates for you and what you're doing and people that you can help. In fact, I just sent an email out to one of my favorite guests and professional colleagues that is an incredible YouTuber, Dale Roberts. He is like Mr. Self-Publishing, right? And I had him on my show, and we just hung out and started being professional friends. And I just shot him an email today and said, yo, Dale, let's get together. I've got a new show and I've got to have you back as a guest. Now, that is a straightforward ask, but we have a rapport. We have developed a friendship. I've been on his show. He's been on mine. We're kind of distant professional colleagues / friends. And for me to just send him an email and ask him that out of the blue, because we have formed this type of relationship, I know he'll respond. And he's amazing. Dale Roberts. You got to check him out. He's incredible. So what I want you to do is go through your contacts, find those people, start reaching out. Come up with something, like depending on where you're at. So for example, if you're still employed, thinking about going out on your own, just reconnect with people. Just say, hey, we haven't talked in a really long time. I want to hear what you've been up to. What are you guys doing? How's the kids? Wife, husband, family, what's been going on? Let's have a conversation. Here's my calendar link. So making it easy for people to grab time with you, or, and I've done this, you can pick up the phone and actually call them. Oh no, you mean no text, no email? I actually can pick up the phone and call them? Yes, you can. Funny story. And I can't remember if I shared this on this show yet or not. But years ago, when I was living in Orlando, I remember I got a connection request on LinkedIn from Michelle Ramey. And Michelle Ramey has a business, it's called Triple Your Clicks, and she basically helps people with Google AdWord campaigns. I've actually used her with one of my clients. She's very good at what she does. So she's a certified AdWords consultant. Well, she reached out and I looked up her profile and her website, and I saw she was 10 minutes away from where I lived. And I did accept her connection request, but I also got her phone number off of her website and I called it. And since she was a solopreneur, it was her mobile. She picked up and she says, hello. And I'm like, hi, Michelle, this is Terry Pappy. You just reached out to me on LinkedIn and I just thought I'd call you and introduce myself and say hi. And what's amazing, and that's so my personality, right? And I was just in the right mood that day when it happened. And so many people hide behind all that stuff. They hide behind email, they hide behind their newsletter, their social media. For them to actually have a real conversation, they've got to be like, oh, what's in it for me? The cool thing is, Michelle and I actually became really good friends, and we played golf together. We both love golf, so we went out and we smacked the ball around together a couple times. We went out and we would have dinner together and lunch and stuff, and I brought her in to help with one of my clients do their AdWords, and it was great. And it all started with me picking up the phone and just reaching out and calling her. And she was bowled over by it. She thought it was the funniest thing ever. and we still laugh about that to this day. Anyway, I have all these funny little stories about stuff like this. And like I said, I am an introvert. So for me to do this kind of outreach, it works if it's one-on-one, right? Because I like really developing and deepening relationships with the right people. Obviously, you don't want to just hang your, hat on all relationships. You want to make sure that you're connecting and resonating with people and that they're good people that are going to see you for who you are and the value that you bring. That's the first thing. Just look at your LinkedIn, look at your contacts, start reaching out to people. The next thing is look at some of your followers on other social media platforms, your Facebook friends. Now, it really depends on how you've been managing these accounts. I do most of my work-related insights and content and posting in LinkedIn because that's where the bulk of my audience is from the standpoint of who they are in business. They're serious about business. They either have their own business and so on. So that's where I spend most of my time because I know my audience is looking for that type of information and they want to connect with me, and that's how they do it. Now, Do I have a huge following? No, I have less than 3,000 people that follow me. And I haven't gone in and done a real tight due diligence on the caliber of those people as far as like, are they all over the world? Are they trying to learn from me? Are they considering hiring me? I haven't done that type of assessment. So, but start there and then look at any other professional network, group, mastermind, wherever you feel that you've had the opportunity to have a presence where you can go into that group of people and start your outreach. You don't need to have all these other things in place. You just need to get your intention clear on the fact that you really want to start nurturing, cultivating, and developing relationships. The more, this is marketing, right? The more people that know about you and what you do and what you're good at, the more they're going to be like, hey, I know a guy like that. How many times do you run into a neighbor and they're like, oh man, my AC is leaking. I can't get it to cool my house. It's a real problem. And I had a company come in and they did a crappy job. They didn't fix it. And then we go, I know somebody, use my company, and here's their contact information. So we always want to refer people that we know, like, and trust. That's the basis of sales. It's the basis of marketing. If we have somebody that we have that type of relationship, even if it's a, kind of like a newer relationship or they don't know you deeply, it doesn't need to be a deep, like long-lasting BFF kind of relationship. It can just be something where they've had a chance encounter to get to know you, that how you showed up was in a giving, in service manner, that they were like really impressed, or they were left with a good takeaway. Those are the kind of things that you need to be working on before you ever get any of that other stuff. Get in the habit of cultivating those relationships because they will give you your future business. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that episode and that you get busy developing your relationships. See you soon. Well, I know you're disappointed, but that's it for this episode. Listen, the great news is there's another one coming, so stay tuned. Anyway, I just want to make sure that you do the prompt. If this episode had a prompt, and you get that homework done because you're going to be a better solopreneur. How's that for a maternal finger shaking at you? Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here, for giving me time of your day, and, for taking it on. So if you want to learn more and stay connected with me, just head on over to mysolopreneurlife.com. Thanks a bunch. See you soon. That was pretty good. I think I'll keep that one.